Yes, Coffee, I did see it. Tentatively, that swap out is fine. I'm sorry, I read it. There's a couple other messages. I did read it, and you're good for it because I think it's thematic to do. Yeah, I think it was a reasonable request. It's absolutely in tune with the circumstances, your character, and so I have no problem with you implementing that for the Tuesday game. Time to make a Red Dragonborn, Fire Ranger, Forest Burner, Feywalker. Alright, Lightning is apparently calling it in early. Now, we did have a couple people redeem some points to lock in rolls. Chill Panda, are you still here? Are you still here, Chill Panda? I wanted to check because I didn't see you in the list. Hey, Daily. Hey, all, good night at the table. And now to my people online. Yeah, how did your game go? And also, greetings from the future where it's 3:25 a.m. Alright, Chill Panda may not be here. So what we'll do... you're welcome to do so, Bullet Club. I'll tell you what, though. You know, if Raz is still here and Raz locked in the background, Chill Panda made a couple requests for other roles, but if Chill isn't here... then they can't be redeemed. And Chris wanted to roll for race. And if Chris Air isn't back by the time that we get to character race, he said to pass it on to someone new. But I'll tell you what, Bullet Club, while you are here and you're new, whether or not Chris makes it back, to get us started in the process, I would like you to type !roll space 1D100. Alright, and Hot Dogs wants a random roll. You roll a 42, so we have a female character. Okay. Now let's get to the race options. There we are. Chris, will you please roll a D9 in chat? We're using the player's handbook. We have this extraneous playtest material. We're going to bring it back to a core book. Rolled a 7. That's a halfling. Ivalon, will you please roll a D12 in chat? And if it's odds, it's Lightfoot. If it's evens, it's Stout. All right, we have a female Lightfoot Halfling. Yeah, so there's a couple things that as we've been going through it, I think the reference boxes need to be adjusted on the back end of things. So it's something that I'll be working out with Trustaflumph. All right, we have a female Lightfoot Halfling. Those are small creatures, SMOL. We already know that we're making a Ranger, Fey Wanderer, level 20. And let's continue. Hey, Fluffy Sheep. Somehow my brain translated Lightfoot Halfling into likes to go paddling. I mean, maybe she does. You know, Rangers are a paddling folk. Fluffy Sheep, will you give me a D100 roll in chat and let me know the alignment of this character? Also, everyone, I don't know if you saw, but Fluffy Sheep had a TPK today at his tabletop. 28, yeah, a chaotic good. We have a chaotic good character here. We're using the balanced odds on this one. All right, we already have our character level. Now, to determine if we're going to have an ability score improvement or feats, Bubonic One, will you roll a D100 in chat and let us know if we're going to take any feats in lieu of an ability score improvement? Yep, TPK. 2 PCs killed. Rolled a 26. So, we're all natural. 100% homegrown halfling. Okay, Raz, it's your time to shine. We are onto the background. I need you to roll an 18-sided die in chat to let us know our character's background. And you roll 13 an Outlander. An Outlander. Oh, Chris, you're fading in a family over tomorrow? Gotcha. All right, Chris, thank you for participating and for the support. You know I always appreciate it. And have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I mean, you'll see me on Discord around. And then, of course, roleplay on Tuesday. And Fluffy Sheep, welcome to the future. It's 3:30 a.m. There's a bit of a gap between us, you'll notice. Of course, you brought that up last session, too, I believe. Okay, as an Outlander, let's go down here to Outlander. There's a particular type. This is so disorienting. I don't know what time it is. Well, at least in Ohio, it's 3:31 a.m. on March 8th in the year 2020. Hot dogs. Will you please roll a D10 in chat to let us know what kind of Outlander we are? Number 3. Now, I don't know what that is, and that's perfectly fine. Remember, we just want the placeholders. We'll interpret the data later. We're casting our bones into the augury dish, and after they and the chicken guts finish, settling where they gotta go, then we'll read it and tell the future. Yes. Yeah, I'm up in a city that is more commonly known for the amusement park here than perhaps for the name of the city. Now... I suppose we'll find out. Who else is here that hasn't gotten to roll yet? I don't know if... oh, Coffee Cat. Coffee Cat, will you please give us a 2d8 roll for her personality? Lightning Dragon says, I shaved my head today, and I'm like, why is it so cold in here? And I keep checking, but the heater's still on. Why is it so cold? We might not have a Coffee Cat. Lightning Dragon, will you give me a 2d8 roll? Drizzkill. Oh, there we go. My Twitch is derping and jumping around. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry, Coffee. Well, if it's... I might still be able to call on you here. Just in case, Lightning, give me a 2d8 roll, exclamation point roll, space 2d8. Drizz kill. You can give me a 3d6 roll, Drizz kill. Our personality traits from Lightning Dragon are 7 and 6. And our ideal bond and flaw to be generated is... And Bullet Club, you'll be called on shortly. 5, 4, and 4 for our ideal bond and flaw. Hi, Lucky. I think we might even be able to sneak in a lucky roll too. In fact, I know, because as a ranger, we're going to be getting some options here. As a ranger, we're going to be getting a couple options here. As you can see, we're going to be getting a fighting style, favored enemies, natural explorer. The higher quality versions of the stream are being derpy with my internet. I changed it to low, and okay, and it's stable. All right. So what I will do is, Old Wolf, will you please roll a d6 to determine the fighting style? Of our ranger. Actually, I'm sorry. It's it would end up needing to be a D4. Arctic is not in the player's handbook. That must have been a mislabel. So Old Wolf, instead of a D6, that should have been a D4. Go ahead and roll a D4. I mean, we might get 2 again. Who knows? But Arctic and the Druidic Warrior are not going to be options for this. Why is... That should not be highlighted. That was my fault. I'm sorry. Although that's... Oh, because that's labeled as player's handbook. That's why. All right. In archery, we are making an archery ranger. All right. Thank you, Old Wolf. Bubonic One wants to roll the trinket, and then Bullet Club will jump in on something else here. All right, so we have a fighting style. We are going to be getting... We're going to be getting favored enemies, and we're also going to be getting our natural explorer. Areas here. So let's go to Ranger real quick. And as you can see, enemy, we get, at first level, we get one. Pardon me. Then we get one at 6th and 14th level. Natural Explorer is going to be the same. Although that's going to be at 6th and 10th level instead. So up here we have favored enemy. Level 1. Level 6. Level 14. Then we get Natural Explorer at level 1, at level 6, and at level 10. So Bullet Club, I will redeem your roll here. And Bullet Club, I would like you to generate, I would like you to roll, or type exclamation point roll space 3D14. All right, we have 9, 3, and 12. Giants, celestials, and plants. Giants, celestials, plants. And where have we been that we're fighting giants, celestials, and plants? Hey, good morning, Clicker. In fact, Clicker, well, before I call you, there's a couple people who I wanted to call to roll. Coffee Cat, if you're stabilized, can you please roll? This should be... Oh, you know what? Arctic got put into fighting style instead of natural explorer. All right, Coffee Cat, can you roll 3d8, please, for our natural explorer? Six, 4, and 2. Swamp. Well, actually, hang on. Arctic is supposed to be number 1. So it's actually mountain. Well, wait, it's easier if I just subtract 1. So 5, 3, 1. So it's mountains, forests, and coast. How about this? What if there's a forest at the base of a mountain where someone sells magic beans that grows fantastic plants up into a land filled with giants? Now, I know that's absolutely ridiculous. 2 out of 10. No one would ever make a story about that. It could work, though. Yeah, those darn beans. All right, Lucky. I need you to roll a percentile for me in chat, please. I need to find out how old our ranger is. She needs to have Giant Killer or Giant Slayer in her name, says Evelyn. A plant stepper honor. Rolled a 20. We are a young adult. And we are a young adult halfling. Lightfoot Halfling. All right. Is anyone else here hanging out that hasn't gotten a chance to roll yet? And that would like to? Oh, Clicker. Yes, I'm... Oh, there. Yeah, I was even like, Clicker, I'm going to call you. Clicker, can you please type exclamation point roll space 1d7 plus 13? All right, she is a young adult at 22 years old. Here's another... Yeah, I'm going to have to submit another bug report here, since our height and weight information didn't load in. Trust a flump! I only say that in jest because he did an amazing job. And some of it might be my data input also. So honestly, it's probably my fault. Yeah, think of, you know, there's probably a story in the Bible about a young child who slew a giant with a stone. Fortunately, you know what? Finding halfling data like this is very easy, and it will lead into the first part of our character creation. Pardon me. Because it's in Chapter 4 where our background is, and we start our character creation with the background. Don't care about numbers, don't care about spells, none of that right now. I want to know who our character is. And so let's have... actually, because this is only going to be multiplied by 1, we have a almost final roll. We have our trinket roll for bubonic. It's going to come up here in a second. So let's... Bullet Club, you're new here. You're hanging out with us. You gave us a chance. Let's have you roll the height modifier for our short stack here. Can you roll 2d4 in chat? And let me know how many inches of height we're adding to our halfling. She starts at 2'7". All right. She is now 2'13". And then we multiply that 6 by 1 and add it to her base weight of 35. So she is 41 pounds and 3'1". And remember, this is not her gear. Like all that gets added on. It doesn't count against her weight capacity. But this is, she wakes up in the morning, she's in her PJs, she's 41 pounds. Yes, 3 feet, 1 inch tall. You are correct. It's a halfling girl who is blue because she was cast out and had to live in a giant mushroom house with what, a community of mostly males that were also cast out from their villages. No, it's a Smurf reference. Yeah. And remember the conspiracy theory, everyone. Remember the conspiracy theory that it was a Russian indoctrination program because it was a cartoon about people all living in a communal lifestyle. The Smurfs. Don't you know what Smurf stands for? Soviet men under Red Father. Papa Smurf was the only one to wear a red cap. The signs are all here. Soviet men under Red Father. That's what the Smurfs was. Absolute communist propaganda. It's not that Brainy Smurf liked apples. It's just that apples were a necessity for the brain work. You may also see the acronym, if not Soviet men under Red Father, as strong men under Red Father. But yeah, there you go. There's your propaganda Illuminati peek into the indoctrination of children. Yes. It goes a little deeper than that too, but I think that'd be getting into some territory that I probably shouldn't bring up in this channel. So, anyway. So yeah, hi everyone. We're in Outlander. Outlander starts with O, at least last that I looked. Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. Noble. And out. Nope, that's Hermit. Where are you? There we go. Noble. Outlander. This. I keep thinking the Hermit picture is the Outlander one. Alright, as an Outlander, we have proficiency in athletics and survival. We have a proficiency with some kind of an instrument. And we get a language of our choice. So as a halfling, we get common, halfling, and one other. Ooh, it's a mystery language. Yep, we'll roll for it. We'll roll for it in just a second. We're going to get a staff. If you want to list that as a weapon, you can. Although in this exercise, we have strength weapons and we have dex weapons. She's level 20. I don't know what weapons you want to equip her with, but the 2-hit modifier is going to be the same if we're going to base it off of what she's wielding. So, you know, she'll get a staff, a hunting trap, a trophy from an animal you killed. So our hunting trophy, we can roll this as a trinket. And Bubonic One, will you please roll a D100 in chat to let us know what she found on, in, or around some quarry that she hunted? Oh, you taking off? Oh, good night, Coffee Cat. Be well. Hearts to ya. Hearts. There we go. Not on this, but in the player's handbook, yes. All right, Bubonic One rolled 57, and if we're gonna go to that chapter anyway to take a look at the musical instruments, then we'll find out what that is in just a moment. Now, we have an origin. What kind of an Outlander are we? And number 3 was rolled. She's a Homesteader. So, in a sense, I mean, you could say Pilgrim, like a frontiersman. Someone who lives out on the fringes of society. Someone who goes to colonize a new territory that might have been discovered or captured in war. Someone who goes and lives on the frontier in a rustic lifestyle. Hi, Cleric 2001. We're doing very well. Welcome to our character creation workshop. So we have our musical instruments, and there are in fact 10 of them. Cleric, will you do me a favor and type !roll space 1d10, and you can help us make this character by determining which instrument she can play. Can you give me a D10 roll? Well, whatever. We'll divide that in half. So we got an 8. Yeah, yep, it's fine. We'll just divide that in half to get our D10 roll here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She plays the pan flute. Interesting. All right. Pan flute. No, Cleric. No, you're fine. Don't worry. There is no problem. You showed up, thank you for the follow, and I put you on the hot seat, but you stepped up and did it, and I appreciate it. This is an awesome community. You didn't screw up, you're not on blast or anything. You saw some goofy looking dude in the D&D section, and I don't know if you're like, well, they're not at a table, or what are they doing? You gave us a chance, you showed up. And I hope that you're going to enjoy the character creation process we're going through. Pan flute can work because of Sylvan, yeah. Or I mean, as a homesteader as well, you may not have a lot of tools, but there's a lot of sticks around you can hollow out and play. And it's very portable as well. You know, if you're wandering through the woods or you're overland on oxen and cart. Ooh, pardon. And then let's check out the trinket, which is acting as the hunting trophy that we are getting through our background. And number 53 was rolled. A small box filled with different sized buttons. So what is this telling us? Or wait, it was 57. I'm sorry, 57, 57. Number 57, not 53, 57. An indecipherable treasure map. Is this what led her to the frontier? Is this what leads her into conflict, perhaps with the giants or the other natives that live out this way? Well, buttons could have been too, but to be true to Bubonic's role of 57, an indecipherable treasure map. See, there you go. The map leads her to the buttons. Bullet Club says the plot thickens. Well, I imagine she has to apply layers of fertilizer to her garden to grow, so... Let's go back to Chapter 4. Well, and Hot Dogs, you bring up a good point, by the way. The point also is that we get languages based on our favorite enemy. So in addition to Common, Halfling, and Other, we can also speak Gigante, and we can also speak Celestial. Now, plants are plants. This could bring up an interesting point that Ivalon had hinted on above. If we're talking about perhaps sentient plants or plants under the control of the Fae, you could propose to your dungeon master, while I have a favorite enemy of plants, could I pick up the Sylvan language or even the Druidic language as a possibility about plants? And yes, Outlander does give us a bonus language as well, and I indicated that with question marks. This could also be, perhaps, if you're trying to negotiate, Druidic could be an option, Sylvan could be an option, as well, Primordial. Primordial could be an option, or specifically Terran, of the Primordial, the sects of languages. You know, how Primordial would be Latin, and then you have the branch Romantic languages of, French, Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese. And that would be Aquan, Auran, Terran, and Ignan. Or Deep Speech? Bullet Club, what kind of plants is she talking to? I mean, I guess if you were to learn Deep Speech, why not through a plant? In all honesty, why wouldn't you learn Deep Speech by talking to a plant? But what kind of plants is she talking to that she's learning Deep Speech from them? Hey, exhausted dragon. Deep plants. They got deep roots. Potatoes. Oh, God. Y'all. I'm going to put in brackets plant. And if you want to download her character from the Discord after she gets loaded up there so you can play around with it, that's your bargaining chip with your dungeon master. What if your DM allows you to pick up a language associated with plants? What would it be? Yeah, very philosophical plants. After Fava's back with carrots. The secret language of the potatoes. All right, what's next? We got to go back to Outlander. Turn that down just a tad. There we go. Oh, you never left. Oh, I thought you had to go into lurk mode. Oh no, you gotta rush. You gotta rush at the end of last one. Okay. Veggie pygmies? I don't know if they speak a language. I'm trying to remember from Tomb of Annihilation if they do or not. And James Norse is here hanging out too. Hey, James. Dun, 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 dun. Now let's find out more about our character. We have the background feature of Wanderer. You have an excellent memory for maps and geography. So if we can just figure out the map, well, and maybe because of our Wanderer feature, this is actually what leads us out on this treasure hunt to begin with. As we say in this channel, if any of you are new here, Iwi. You have Owos, you got Uwos, we have Iwis here. This comes together, and so our character may have found an undecipherable map, but because of our background feature of Wanderer, she may have actually found this kind of paradisical land, a land of giants. You know, so if you wonder, well, over the course of an adventurer, because remember, we're making her level 20. By the time she gets Coast or Plants, Plants is 14, Coast is 10. She's traveled a lot. You know, her favorite enemies, as well as her natural explorer, is a diary of where she's been and who she's met. If we put this together, we have mountains, forests, coast, giants, celestials, and plants. I think our ranger has uncovered a civilization that would be like, maybe almost like a Mesoamerican, or even if we go to to South America, and we get like an Incan society or an Aztec society that's located in the jungle. There's plenty of jungle around the Andes Mountains, and there's a lot of coastline too. So she may have been sent out to explore, or something happened. She got this map and followed it, and so she's looking. Well, I mean, if you look at it, cleric, even her abilities are simply a diary of where she's been. Because that's written so well on a ranger because they're a product of their environment. And what this is pointing to, I think, is that we have this little halfling. And imagine this especially as a halfling. What if her society was only halflings before? And she finds this native tribe of giants living at the base of a mountain in a jungle. And of course, there are offerings to the gods that could even be through sacrifice. In fact, the giants might have even been raiding and trying to, in themselves expanding, or they're trying to, as the halflings want to move in and colonize, there could be friction, and so the halflings have been taken. And there's a very tense relationship, which is probably why she starts off with favored enemy giants at level 1. It's the society into which she was born. You gotta watch out for giants. They come raiding. They'll scoop you up and take you to sacrifice to their gods. And remember, just because something's a celestial doesn't necessarily mean it's good, according to you. Yeah, she has a map to El Dorado. Exactly, hot dogs. Sounds like this ranger's been trying to find the other piece of this map after the deep speech with the plants. And maybe the plants were guiding her in some way, too. Yeah, yeah. And Death Angel Shadow, hello. Yeah, we are. We're still trucking along. Exactly. And Cleric, while we're discussing mechanics, it's all based in growing our character organically and not seeing anything that's contrived. And you'll notice nothing that we have done here, there's no numbers here. I don't care what her wisdom score is or what her dexterity score is. That's irrelevant to the journey she's taken so far. And so we have maybe a tropical Mesoamerican setting where we have some halfling homesteaders encountering the native tribe of giants who probably build even bigger pyramids or ziggurats or obelisks to the gods. And they do have a control over the plants as well. It's a wild jungle. This is already creating a compelling story environment and setting up. If you're a dungeon master and you had someone hand this character sheet to you, look at all this character sheet has. A couple placeholders. It has a couple placeholders, and look at everything we've set up. Doesn't this sound like a badass adventure already? Yeah, and Cleric, our workshops are here so that we can practice extrapolating data from character sheets to build worlds as DMs, and also as PCs to roleplay, creating interesting characters that maybe we never would have before. Or to adventure in settings that maybe we haven't before. Yeah, these could be Illuminati giants, Lightning Dragon. So we have this background feature. We have an excellent memory for maps and geography. We recall the layout of terrain, settlements, and we can find food and water provided the land offers it. Now, what about her personality? Who is she as a homesteader, as an explorer, as someone who lives on the fringes of halfling society and interacts with giants enough that she can speak their language? For all we know, maybe she actually gets along with them to a degree, can trade with them, can interact, maybe knows their certain hand signals. Maybe practices infiltrating giant camps. All right, her personality traits. Number 7. I feel far more comfortable around animals than people. Well, so it might seem that this is another reason why she left the halfling society behind. And number 6, I'm always picking things up, absently fiddling with them, and sometimes accidentally breaking them. She's not a kender. It's something that she does. And why does she do it? How does this personality trait manifest? Could this just be something nervous? Did she come and live out here from a busy, stressful city life because she wanted to live in Green Acres? Because I hear Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Yeah, she's twitchy. And what makes her twitchy? If there's conflicts with giants, while she's an Outlander by background, it doesn't mean that perhaps she didn't see some military service. Maybe she was conscripted. Maybe she actually fought for a bit, and when she could be released, she wanted to just go out and live in society and not worry about wars. People make her twitchy. Again, so something happened. She has an anxiety issue that could be born from what? It's all a part of the story that we want to create for her. Nerves from raids, yeah. Raids of giants in our youth. You know, you have Samus Aran has kind of a PTSD going from watching her family die to space pirates. Yeah, and Cleric could be PTSD from a tragedy of some kind. Like I said, a real-life example of giants that were considered gods and evil at that are the Irish Fomorians. You're absolutely correct, Bubonic One. And if you did want to blend in the Fae, that would also be a way for you to do it, at least as per our real-life folk stories and the mechanics and story as it's translated into the monster manual. But yeah, Bubonic One, the Fomorians, you're absolutely correct. All right, so people make... So she kind of just picks stuff up, you know, so she'll twirl a pocket knife, or she'll just pick up a stone. She might have like a primitive fidget cube. Pardon. Now, what about her ideal? What is her ideal? 5, which is nature. The natural world is more important than all the constructs of civilization. All right, she wants... Yes, she's a homesteader. I want to live in a woods. INNAWOODS. I want to live in a woods. I don't necessarily want to talk to people. I just want to be around nature. I want to be around animals. I will build my cabin. I will build my cabin out of logs and mud, and everyone she knew could have died, could be dead. And remember too, she's a young woman. She's 22. Oh, did you skip ahead, Lightning Dragon? No skipping ahead. Don't spoil the story for me. So she is out there. The idea stems from the nigh constant conflict with giants over territory. Oh, so yeah, so she sees, she might see this territorial dispute and, you know, take that kind of, you know, the approach of, you know, I want to live on the land. I don't want to own the land because I'm going to return to it. I hunt on the land. I grow crops from the land. I return while I'm living to the land as well. Let alone when I finally die, I'll be returned to the land. Yeah, a giant is a giant, whether it's a gnarled Fomorian, whether they're industrial fire giants. Yeah, if you actually want to turn it on its head, we can actually have more of a that the giants. Raz, yep, you beat me to it. Trolls are giants, ogres, and Ettins. Ettins are considered giants, and am I mistaken? Well, I guess it's Ettins, but I thought there was kind of even a bestial giant too. Are Etter caps considered giants as well? Because they're humanoid spiders. I don't know if they're necessarily big though. Though I thought that there might have been one other giant that wasn't brought up. Well, yeah, the Fomorians were brought up. You have your traditional, you know, like your stone, your hill giants and fire and all that. Then you had trolls, ogres, Fomorians, Ettins, which are two-headed giants. But I thought there was one other, but it was more of a bestial one, not just a Fomorian, like a humanoid-looking one. But I didn't know if Etter caps themselves. Those just might be monstrosities. Hot dogs. The mountain could be volcanic if you want it to. They are Okay, got it. Yeah. Never mind then. What is her bond? Her bond to the world is number 4. I am the last of my tribe. Ah, that's what you're saying, Lightning. I am the last of my tribe, and it is up to me to ensure their names enter legend. Onis. Yeah, Onis are Ogre Magi. Cyclops, yep, those count as Gigantes as well. And, of course, yeah, we said trolls. If you're a DM and you have someone who wants to run against giants, you know, even in our last setting that we created last week, we had a giant that was a siren. Because sirens at the time were a native people. A giant just means you get a giant version of what it is. I mean, if you want to say dire, then that's fine too. And so the giants can be as per out of the monster manual. But if you want to say that giants live here, but it's, you want to call them, I don't know, giant lizard folk. Or giant, you know, if you want to have like almost like a dinosaur style people. And just, you know, you run them like lizard folk, except they're giants. Or you want to make gorilla people. And you have like a King Kong versus Godzilla thing going on. Because they're giants, they're kaiju. You as a DM can classify whatever you want as a giant, presumably, as long as it's big. A giant halfling. Gorillons? Well, wait, Gorillons are... I thought Gorillons were monstrosities or beasts. But if they're considered giants, then hey, there you go. There's a large four-armed gorilla that can live in a jungle. In my homebrew game, giants are a part of the civilized society where the players are adventuring. They are master smiths and miners. So, you know, in that, don't ever get hung up on just what's in the monster manual, because if you talk to your DM, anything can be a giant. Anything could be a celestial. Heck, you could even... I mean, plants could be a lot of different things, too, whether they're overtly or a covert threat. You know, all of a sudden, everyone's getting replaced with pod people, and while they look like tieflings and they look like gnomes, they're actually plants. So, something happened if she was in the army. Maybe her unit did get wiped out, and she said, you know what? Nope, I'm done. I'm not going back to society. I'm not getting caught up in this. But I will live a life that that I can pass on. That I can pass on what we're trying to do. It could have even been a peacemaking. It could have been a peacemaking retinue to go out and negotiate. In the monster manual, your size category does increase your hit dice. So if we go with the mechanics of challenge rating, then yes, Cleric. However, I can absolutely present to you a Storm Giant Quintessent that has 10 hit points. And I wouldn't have to blink an eye or make my gears spin too much for it. Her people were destroyed by a pack of wyverns that were actually Venus flytraps. Oh, so instead of like the seeds kind of flying on the wind, you actually get some like flapping like carnivorous. They're like the pterodactyl people in Beastmaster. Those things were scary when you watched that as a kid. But can you imagine that? Like these plants, these giant mouth plants flap down and then just like wrap around someone, and then you just see them like kind of, and then suddenly like goo and bones fall out the bottom as they're dissolved, and then suddenly the plants go flapping off again. That's absolutely a plant in D&D. And Golden, hello and welcome to you. No wonder we gotta learn to survive those things and hunt those things. Hey, Power Level! I'm telling you, for all the work into the options for players in building an adventurer, the art is so well done. In the player's handbook, or are you referencing something else power level? All right, now what is her flaw? We are all flawed creatures. Yes, you. Even as a human being. You are a human being, aren't you? Her flaw is number 4. I am slow to trust members of other races, tribes, and societies. We are definitely an animal person in that case. And so we're probably skittish around others. It's a flaw because we're antisocial. Now, this isn't a debilitating flaw that would make her unplayable at a tabletop. It simply means that you might take a more commanding role. You, especially if you want to say that you had some prior military service, that you're comfortable if people want to trust you. It's not, but you don't have to trust them. You might be ever vigilant. You might just need to make sure everything is done on your instincts and to your instincts and to your your methodologies. It doesn't sound like a flaw. The inability to trust others is a big character flaw. You can easily make it into a flaw by not trusting party or quests. It makes you hesitant. It means that there are times when you might second guess yourself. And as a quirk per se, our ranger, when entering heavy foliage, she reeks of smoke. And that flaw makes me think of the whole races being masqueraded by plants. I'm not sure I follow what you're talking about, Bullet. I read it a couple times, but it's not clicking in the noggin. So now we have a better idea of our character. I feel far more comfortable around animals than people. I'm always picking things up, absently fiddling with them, and sometimes accidentally breaking them. Nature, the natural world, is more important than all the constructs of civilization. I am the last of my tribe, and if you don't want to say tribe, I'm the last of my military unit. I'm the last of my family. I'm the last of the halflings, as in every single one. Or simply, I'm the last person who lived. I'm the last person who survives in this frontier town. It could be a ghost town. It could have gotten wiped out when she was a little girl. And so she's the only one who's grown up in this ghost frontier town. And so all her life she's, I don't know, tried to, rebuild things, patch stuff with sticks and mud and just kind of go about her business living out here because it's all she knows, and frankly, that's all she cares about. The last of the... Oh, Fluffy. You're hitting too close to home on Tuesdays. Yeah, could even be the last humanoid. I mean, given everything else around her. And mind you, if we say celestial, not all celestials have to be beautiful, Adonis-bodied, angelic beasts. Celestials are just as much cosmic beings of horror than anything else. It's just that they might take the courtesy to try and look like the natives to blend in, so that they don't appear in their natural state as cosmic horrors that are unfathomable to mortal minds, because that's what celestials are. Or they're just aliens, and they all walk around with crystal skulls. So we have a bit of a tragic character, someone who, might end up working with giants, if only, begrudgingly. Maybe can trade with them. She understands their language. Maybe she can just sneak around and she's learned it by listening to giants teaching their kids or something. And we have almost a bit of a tragic character that is looking forward to some beautiful development throughout the course of an adventure or a campaign. where she does slowly learn to trust people, where she slowly comes to terms with what's happened in her past, so she can get over, she can get over or at least address this hesitation she's always carried with her. Where instead of repelling the trauma and making it stronger and continually picking that scab, she actually just lets it heal and carries the scar, but lives a normal life from that point forward. This character has so much depth to her. Now, what was her strength score? Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. How many hit points does she have? Doesn't matter. Don't worry about this stuff. This will happen after this happens right here. So now that we know who she is, we can look at things like what she is and what she does. But we have, I know she's a halfling, but, here's the metaphor. We are human beings, not human doings. Who is our character? That's why you start with the background, in my opinion. We know who she is. We're in her mind. We can make decisions. All of this has led to a history, and all of it works. None of it feels contrived or is some kind of, well, I guess if we say her parents died, it's not just her parents died so we can play a character and not have to worry about family. Like, there's a reason why her parents died. Or her parents might live in the halfling city half a continent away. By rail or whatever. If rail exists, or by whatever you want. So she's compelling. She has her own story. Which means that she's not going to feel contrived. Or, you know what? Bullet Club, you came in here with, a concern that at your table you had someone making fun of you because you dared to pair a certain race with a certain class and subclass, which automatically meant to that other person you had to be this, apparently this famous character. And Mazamune, welcome to you. And if that person isn't able to process what we just discussed, well, that's not your problem, Lightning. Or not Lightning. That's not your problem. Sorry. Bullet Club. I was going to say Gun Club or Gun Kata. Bullet Club. That's not your problem. That is this other person's. Because you are playing a character that you know. You are the character. You're not just doing things with your character in a way to, to mimic. Now we can go to races. Go to Halfling. I love this picture. If you ever need a pick-me-up, if you're ever feeling down, boom, right here. Take a look at this character and you're going to start feeling good. Alright, our dexterity score increases by 2. And our base walking speed is 25, giving us a 12 climb, 12 swim, 0 fly. We have 0 dark vision. We're lucky. Hey, we're getting lucky. Which is giving us some benefits so that we are a little bit more survivable. We're also brave, which means we have advantages versus being frightened. And considering giants and even celestials have fear effects, aha. We also have halfling nimbleness. You can move through the space of any creature that is of a size larger than yours. And I think around giants and even a lot of this other stuff, we're going to be super nimble. And it's going to be important for getting through the jungle. Now, as a Lightfoot Halfling, our charisma increases by 1. And we are also naturally stealthy. This is super going to help us as a ranger. Naturally stealthy. You can attempt to hide even when you're obscured only by a creature that is at least 1 size larger than you. Yeah, exactly, Raz. It's like choosing Ranger and Drow and then automatically, oh, you're playing Dritz. No, I'm playing my own character. And there's also nothing wrong with Dritzt if you want to play Dritzt. So there we go. Ta-da! This is this could be a refinement of what we've done, but just being a halfling itself, you know, may not be as compelling, at least when you're looking at the mechanics. Now, the world in which you live might, you know, have different. You could be from an industrial instead of a pastoral or something. But this is why for the workshop, and I don't want to shame anyone out there. If you do race and class first, heck, that's what the player's handbook instructs you to do. I mean, that's fine. But, you know, fluffy sheep is just eating popcorn. Yeah, steampunk halflings. They put them in robots. It's kind of what the Lalafell are in Final Fantasy XIV. Now we are going to build a ranger, and I mean just ranger as per the class of ranger, not the subclass stuff. So we are a D10 hit die class, and we get 20 of them because coincidentally, hey, we're level 20. That represents a pool of healing you can use on rests to recover hit points without potions or expending spells. We have proficiency with light armor, medium armor, and shields. We have proficiency with simple and martial weapons. No tool proficiencies, except that which we got from our background, which is a pan flute. Our saving throws are going to be strength and dexterity for proficiency. And then we're going to get to choose 3 skills. Now, referencing her background, and the reason why I say this is if you see, oh, I'm playing this because everyone needs perception. Anyone in the party take perception? Well, someone has to take perception. Don't say that. Don't fall into that trap. No one has to take perception. Sure, you always can. Don't be afraid to not take perception, or to not take stealth, or some of these other things that might appear to be a bread and butter skill. Let's take a look. I feel far more comfortable around animals than people. I'm always picking things up, absently fiddling with them, and sometimes accidentally breaking them. Now, sleight of hand isn't here. If this is your personality trait, perhaps. Now, it does say you sometimes break them, which could mean, you know. But this could be a prompt that because it is your character, and you are going to roleplay it, could you have sleight of hand? Now, we're not going to play with that as a consideration here, though I want to bring it up so it's opening channels of communication or thoughts of, wow, I can interact with my DM in this way, because you can. Nature. The natural world is more important than all the constructs of civilization. I'm the last of my tribe, and it's up to me to ensure their names enter legend. And finally, I am slow to trust members of other races, tribes, and societies. If we are slow to trust, that probably means that we're giving them the stink eye a bunch, and we're probably good at insight. Because we're always trying to read their motivations. We're trying to see, are they trying to dupe us? Apparently she's an us now. Are they trying to dupe me? Us with the other animals. What do they want? Whether they're giants or other halflings. So insight would absolutely be an extension of this character. Animal handling would absolutely be an extension of this character. No, sleight of hand is not just pickpocketing. It's it is small. So it would be like rolling a coin across your knuckles. It would be taking a bottle cap and flipping it into into a bin. It's taking things into and out of pockets. Or, you know, to do a card trick, like some mundane street magic. Yeah, you can grab people's noses and just tear them right off painlessly as well. Yeah, palming and switching items. You know, if in her story we've said that she actually has to infiltrate the giant village, maybe for food or because she would stick around and listen to the giants teach their language to the kids or whatever. Again, present these reasons to your DM to give you this consideration. Although I think nature, insight, and animal handling are all superb. Now, stealth could work as well. I mean, she is naturally stealthy. Maybe as a race, you know, she needs it or doesn't. Most everything's already bigger than her. But if, you know, this would come down to, is the character living, well, I'd say in the shadow, but it's a big shadow. Is she living in the shadow of the giants, or does she actually live on this farmstead, but she'll just go out into the jungles and traipse around for a week and do this? But she may just be naturally stealthy enough to do it. Yeah, I don't think she's a sneaking type. I don't think she's trying to... she's not trying to thieve. She's not trying to live super... You know, she's definitely off the grid, even for a D&D player. But I don't think she's also trying to hide it either. So I think nature, insight, and animal handling are going to work for her. Equipment, not going to worry about it. If she attacks with strength, it's going to be X. If she attacks with dex, it's off a Y. And then, of course, her wisdom is going to be down here for her spells. We have our favorite enemies. We have our natural explorer. And she gets a +2 bonus to attack rolls that are made with ranged weapons. Spellcasting, we'll get there. You know, spellcasting is a part of stats and whatnot. Not going to worry about it. She's going to have spells. We'll get to spells. A spell is a spell. She is going to get Primeval Awareness. And this is really going to come in handy for this character if she needs to sense Celestials. Now, this doesn't include plants or giants. It does include Celestials. Though you might talk to your dungeon master and ask if your primeval awareness could be more focused. Otherwise, Celestials as a non-natural entity, whereas plants and giants are at least, you know, they grow out of the soil that I live on too. So that it would be up to you, but you could run it, you could ask for the consideration, or at least say, all right, well, if I can sense Celestials, then there could very well be some problems going on. And it's good to be able to detect for those. ASIs, we're going to get 5 of them. Extra attack. We are also going to get, we have Land Stride, which makes it easier to go through brush and over hill and under dale. We have Hide in Plain Sight. We can camouflage ourselves. And, you know, if we're spending a minute anyway, stealth may not, again, I think she's going to take her time with any of this. And she's a halfling, has Hide in Plain Sight. It's redonkulous. We can also Vanish. We can, as a bonus action, hide. Feral Senses. When you attack a creature you can't see, your inability to see doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls against it. And lastly, our capstone as a ranger, remember this is just ranger, is Foe Slayer. You're an unparalleled hunter of your enemies. Once on each of your turns, you can add your wisdom modifier to the attack roll or the damage roll of an attack you make against one of your favorite enemies. Now, let's explore the Fey Wanderer. We've built a ranger, but specifically, what kind of a ranger and how does this work with the character concept we've already discovered? Does the story write itself? Does Iwi come true? It writes itself? Let's find out. Remember, everything we've done here has been off of random rolls and the conversation that comes off of random rolls. As a Fey Wanderer, you guard the border between the Feywild and the material plane, guiding the lost out of the Feywild and preventing dangerous Fey from damaging the material plane. Your experience with both domains makes you an exceptional negotiator between inhabitants of these worlds, as you understand both humanoid mindsets and the wiles of the Fey courts. Fey Wanderers possess a preternatural blessing from a Fey ally or a place of Fey power. Choose your blessing from the Feywild gifts table or determine it randomly. Hot Dogs, can you roll a d6 for me to determine our Feywild gift? Rolled a 1. Illusory butterflies flutter around you while you take a short or long rest. Illusory butterflies flutter around you while you take a short or long rest. Now, from this as a roleplay prompt, do we have an instance where have the giants... again, we have a Fey giant crossover with the Fomorians, and those may work very well. If they are Fomorians or even something else, have the giants ceased worship of the Fey, or have the giants called these celestial outsiders into the jungle where the Fey had existed, and now the Celestials might become the predators of the Fey? You know, in many instances, the Fey are very dangerous generally. What if in this setting, the Fey are actually the prey of the Celestials? What if the giants have just opened up some kind of celestial rift, and these Celestials just come through, and they've been feeding on the Fey? And so now, here's a little, maybe a little girl or a young woman, maybe 15, 16, was conscripted into the army or whatever, you know, the equivalent of her background. Everyone dies but her. The Fey, who are desperate for someone to be able to help and intercede because they're on the ropes, because they're getting eaten by angels or whatever, like glowing manta rays that come through a rip in reality. The Fey come to her and give her power and teach her. In fact, they probably even help teach her not to trust people. Well, yeah, can you imagine like an angel or some sort of like a celestial being coming through a rift in reality, and then just like coming up to a little pixie, you know, and the pixie's like, "Oh, what's this? Never seen this before." Goes to like pull some pranks, and the thing just like snatches it up, and the little like pixie wings fall from its mouth, and the angel just like smiles because it found its new favorite food in this world. Again, Celestials don't have to be beneficent angels that we know it from a biblical, from a generally biblical term. They are outsiders from a different cosmic realm that can take on horrible shapes. And so the Fae could be on the ropes, give the blessings to this girl. And this girl then lives on the frontier between, between the giants. And maybe, what if the Fae, I don't know, maybe the giants even came by, and they're the ones who actually ruined her village, if not a military company. And so the giants have to be stopped. You know, this giant society is aggressive, it's spreading. throughout the material plane and ripping holes to summon in more of these angels that they form these celestial pacts with, which makes them even more dangerous because not only are they getting phenomenal cosmic power, they're also getting the ability to heal each other and to survive wars. So the giants are becoming these apex predators of the jungle. And so the remaining Fae could very well just have taken up residence inside this village. What if the village does appear as a ghost village? Because the Fae try and keep people away by pretending to be ghosts and skeletons and scary stuff. But instead, the village is overgrown by moss. Like, it's hidden because it has become a Fae sanctuary for any Fae that survived this great celestial influx. Ta-da! What's my strength score? Oh, it doesn't matter. Huh. How many spell slots do I have? Huh, that doesn't matter either. Interesting. It's funny how that works. Oh, how much damage does my bow and arrow... No, I guess that doesn't matter either. Huh. And then the plants happened. I mean, yeah, if we're talking about, if we're talking about... Apparently they can teach deep speech. Who's to say that Celestials don't also speak deep speech? It's like an elf being able to speak Elven and Common. A Celestial could just be a refined deep speech. Old Knock, hello! Alright, so we have our Feywild gift. Now, we have Fey Wanderer Magic. You learn an additional spell when you reach certain levels in this class, as shown in the Fey Wanderer spells table. The spell counts as a ranger spell for you, but does not count against the number of ranger spells you know. So if we're going to come down here, we don't get cantrips. As a half-caster as well, by the way, because, I mean, spell slots are a thing, we're going to end up with 4, 3, 3, 3, and 2. 4, 3, 3, 3, and 2. We come back here, and then we are going to learn from Fey Wanderer, Charm Person, Misty Step, Dispel Magic, Banishment, Mislead. Your experience with the Fae has guarded your mind and sharpened your tongue. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. Well, we already had frightened from being a halfling. However, if you would prefer to explain that you got that, especially if maybe you lost your community when you were younger, so this sort of sense of engaging the world and with wide-eyed wonderment is more of a cultural thing, then instead you say that the Fae instilled that in you. So frightened and charmed. In addition, you gain proficiency in one of the following skills of your choice: Deception, Performance, or Persuasion. Well, let's see. I'm more comfortable around animals. I'm always picking things up. I believe in nature. I'm the last of my tribe, and I'm slow to trust other people. If we're slow to trust... Deception? Because I don't really think she's performing. But if you want to assign that dot elsewhere, hey, this isn't my character, this is ours. And you can download her and play around with her dots all you want. Hot dogs? Absolutely. We also get Dreadful Strikes. You augment your attacks with mind-scarring magic drawn from the gloomy hollows of the Unseelie Fae. You gain a bonus action that you can use to imbue the weapon or weapons you're currently holding with magic. Until the end of the turn, the weapons are magical, and they deal an extra d6 psychic damage on a hit. A creature can take this extra damage only once per turn. When you engage in two-weapon fighting, you can imbue your weapons as part of the same bonus action you use to make the attack. Dreadful Strikes. Then we get Blessings of the Courts. You have learned eerie techniques from both the Gloaming Court and the Summer Court of the Feywild. Once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend a spell slot to deal extra psychic damage. The extra damage is 3d6 psychic damage, and the creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, or be frightened of you until the end of your next turn. In addition, whenever you make a charisma check, you gain a bonus to the check equal to your wisdom modifier. She is definitely more of a kind of an anti-hero. I don't think she's like a super edgy one, but you know, she's someone who has lost a lot in her life, and I think is filled with sorrow, and she's never really been taught how to love. You know, the Fae are using her. The giants probably want to gobble her up, and even her own people would want to come by and either conscript her or take her back or study her or something. And so she's actually just a character that has issues with love. Love and trust. That's the core of this character. And so she's not a broken character necessarily, but she certainly has a darker side to her. And she can channel this because she's upset, because she's lonely, and honestly, because she probably doesn't know better. You know, intelligence is probably going to be a dump stat for her. And it's fine that we're proficient in nature because of that. It just means she studied that one subject. I don't think she's intelligent, though. She hasn't had the chance to learn. Then we get Beguiling Twist. You learn how to manipulate mind-altering magic, channeling it from your allies toward others. Whenever a creature you can see within 120 feet of you succeeds on a saving throw against being charmed or frightened, you can use your reaction to force a different creature you can see within 120 feet of you to succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, or suffer your choice of one of the following effects. The creature is charmed or frightened by you, your choice, for a minute, and they can repeat the saving throw, or the creature just straight up takes 3d10 psychic damage. You learn how to manipulate? Yeah, and she's also, I mean, she's channeling that loss. She's channeling that anger. She's channeling the way that the Fae have taught her, in their own manifestations of magic and their own sort of alien outlook. They, both the Fae and her want to survive, so that's a common bond. But their way of thinking and their way of doing things is different, especially channeled through a halfling. And lastly, our capstone is Misty Presence. You can magically remove yourself from one creature's perception. You gain a bonus action that you can use to force a creature you can see within 30 feet of you to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. This is how she can go into the Giant Society and not be caught. On a failed save, the target can't see or hear you for 24 hours. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of any turn during which you hit it with an attack roll, forced it to make a saving throw, or dealt damage to it. The effect ends early if you use this bonus action again, period. On a successful save, the target is immune to this feature for 7 days. Once you've used this bonus action, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest or until you expend a spell slot of 4th level or higher. Not much schooling while running for your life on the outskirts of civilization. Exactly. Yeah, she's wise but not smart. Alright, now, quick talk on this. I don't think it's overpowered. It does refine the ranger a little bit more. You get a couple extra spell options, which can make people happy. I think it's very flavorful. A drawback can be that some might say that this is too flavorful, or it's forcing certain manifestations or storytelling considerations. Again, people can also say anything about anything. You know, it's the fear and charm. You get a lot of that. It's a Fae thing, but it's also highly resisted or straight up ignored. So I don't think any of those abilities are necessarily, you know, broken or inappropriate for theme or for balance, such as it exists. It doesn't, but such as it exists in mechanics. It is cool. Cunning Will isn't on there because that's simply manifested in the advantages on Frightened and Charmed and the dot in Deception. But I didn't need to write out Cunning Will if it was just going to do this anyway, because it's already getting small over here. Yeah. Psychic damage is cool. Not a ton of stuff resist it, so and you are, I guess, more of a you could be more of a damage dealer in a universal setting. And the fact too that you get 2-weapon shillelagh on a you get shillelagh on a stick, everyone. As weird as that sounds. What do you mean you don't get shillelagh on a stick? Isn't that where it goes? No, I mean shillelagh on a stick. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, that's what I said. Shillelagh on a... I know, that's what I said. No, you said... So Dreadful Strikes is simply 2-weapon fighting shillelagh, which is cool. You know, it ensures you're dealing magical damage with, you know, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. And then the fact that you can force through psychic damage in addition to weapon damage. Okay. I like it. It's thematic. I don't necessarily think it's broken. Will this see a print in the future? Probably with not too many other tweaks. Nothing's really jumping out at me that it's inappropriate or it's onerous in a role-playing sense. Everything seems level appropriate. Yeah. So now, look at this, everyone. Look at our character sheet. We are ready to play this character. Sure, we got to put some numbers on it, but the character herself is ready to play. We understand her thinking, her methodology, what happens after her brain-to-mouth filter, or brain-to-hand filter. She has a history in an environment in which she lives, that she performs in. Everything you need to play the character is here. This just adds a number to a dice roll. All these could be 10s and you could roll straight 1s and it's not going to matter. But we know our character and there's the magic. That said, I guess we'll put stats on her. Let's use the standard array, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. The 8, she never got the chance to learn. Never got the chance to learn. Let's see. I do think that she was grown up and forced to survive. And while it is mechanically beneficial for a ranger, I don't think it doesn't make sense not to give her a high wisdom. Her charisma is going to be middling because she doesn't really interact with a lot of people, but she was taught tricks, like how to pull tricks on people. So she's good at deception, but I would almost say charisma is probably the second lowest. Because, you know, she didn't grow up as a wild child, like, raised by wolves. But I don't know if charisma would be in the middle, like what you're suggesting, Lightning. I don't know. I would almost say con would be higher as well, because she's had to survive. She's probably had to drink some, like, foul water or survive over the winter on rotten meat and things like that. Now... Here is something to consider. If you are playing an archer style, what that means is that if we put dexterity at 14... Now, this is meta. This is a meta conversation. It doesn't have to be like this. This is mechanical consideration. This is going to give her a 16 dexterity, which is going to translate to a +3 from dex. Now, medium armor can only give you up to a +2 bonus. So we're already surpassed that, unless, you know, we roll that she took the medium armor feat. Which, you know what? Honestly, if you wanted to respec her, she might take it. However, with archery giving us a +2, that means we're still hitting at a +5. As if we had a 20 in dexterity, which is the natural cap, and in the meta, the highest expected value for that stat to hit or save. And so if we capped dex at 14, or even, you know, if you were fine going a little bit lower and actually having that be a 12, either way is fine, because you can get a better dex save regardless of your armor. But hear me out. If it was a 12 +2 to 14, that's +2. We're still hitting at a +4, so we have a 5% less chance than an epic level character of hitting. We'd still max out our armor bonus, and we would still be accurate with our bow. And that means that we could put our 14 in strength or con, where she is going to be very strong and be able to wield all those melee weapons that she's good with based off of strength, like a great axe or her carrying capacity. I mean, when I say she's a short stack, I mean she's not the soft, she's not a soft little blueberry. I mean she's got bulk, BULCC bulk. So really here, you know, I don't know where you'd want to put it. I mean, if we go 14 and 13, I'd be absolutely comfortable with this, and I think it would fit her. And don't forget, she's level 20. She probably has like a +1 or +2 armor or bow as well. That said, I don't know what her armor class is, so I'm going to put a question mark because she's level 20. Same with her weapons. Initiative is simply a dexterity check. Okay, hot dogs. Well, sleep as much as you can. Thank you for joining us, and I hope this was fun and inspirational for you. Alright, if we do this, racial modifiers bring dex to a 14 and charisma to an 11. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dots from her 5 ability score improvements to distribute throughout her scores now. Given her training and such, I think wisdom is going to consume 5 of those and straight up go to a 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we can drop 1 into Constitution to give her a 14. Now we have 4 more. You know, do we want to go straight up WizCon? Maybe. It might behoove us to actually increase our strength some to keep up with our ability to shoot. Because right now, if we give her an 18 strength, she'd be hitting the same as if her 14 dex plus archery. Con's never a bad thing either. Though, you know, if we're worried about poison and such, again, depending on the environment, your ranger's a product of it. We may very well just have a spell that can help out with that. No. Not unless your DM allows it for some special reason in 5th edition. In 3rd edition and maybe prior, there were compound bows that I think you could fire with strength. So you can distribute it through it here. And you know, I'm fine with an 11 charisma. If you wanted to, I don't know, tip it up a little bit and say, you know what? Maybe the Fae did make her a little bit more socially canny just in case. She's not supposed to be, no. She just has a knack, she has a knack for knocking. If you do this, and let's say like you can't stand having an 11 in charisma, and you want to throw a 1 in there, and you're floating an extra 1, put it into strength. You get mechanical benefits for lifting, carrying, and jumping with a higher strength score without needing the modifier to back it up. Will she be using a finesse weapon? I don't know. I mean, she can. She can 2-weapon fight. But, you know, if she really just wields a bow and then goes into melee combat swinging a melee weapon or 2, if she's not using both her hands to fire a bow, then she might be using both her hands to 2-weapon fight. And if that's the case, I honestly think an 18 strength would be absolutely fine for her. And if you wanted to drop this to a 16 and a 16, you could do that too. You know, hey, play around with the scores as you wish here. But for the sake of moving ahead, I'll keep it here and we'll keep going. This is going to give her a 4 strength, 2 dex, 2 con, -1 int, 5 wisdom, and 0 charisma. Her saving throw... Oh, by the way, at level 20, we're at +6. Her strength saving throw is 10, athletics 10, dexterity 8, 2 for everything else. That might explain if she has a 2 in sleight of hand why she messes up sometimes. Constitution save is 2. Nature is a 5. Everything else I'm going to just discreetly control V this particular number into. Wisdom is a 5. Medicine and perception is 5, giving her a 15 passive because it's 10 plus your modifier. And that's just your natural awareness. And, animal handling is 11. Insight is 11. Survival's 11. Charisma saving throw. Everything in charisma is 0 except deception, which is 6. Now we come up here. Her initiative is a +2. I'm going to make a note here, by the way. If it's archery specific, then we're attacking at a +10. Same as with any strength weapon. Because it's proficiency plus modifier plus archery, which is 2. And so if we're using archery and then any strength weapon, with either we're still attacking at a +10. Yep, this makes you good at all weapons. You are correct, Lightning. She's a universalist. She's had to survive. She's had to use all sorts of stuff. You know, train and learn on the things that were left behind. Now, for hit points, at level 1, she got all 10 of her D10 hit points. For the rest of her 19 levels of her 20, because we already filled out her first, she gets half +1 unless you and your DM decide otherwise. Then for all 20 of her levels, she gets bonus hit points equal to her Constitution modifier. And so here's our simple math. 20 times 2 is 40. 19 times 5 is 95. This is 145 hit points. 145 hit points at level 20. And she's going to be having a pretty decent AC. Because she can wear full plate, get the dex, and use a shield, let alone any magical effects on the armor, or weapons, or any spells that she has that can help out with that too. Spell slots was 4, 3, 3, 3, and 2. If we're attacking with a spell off of Wisdom, that's a plus 11 to hit. And to resist the effects of our spells, you need a 19. We are imposing our upsettedness on our enemies. Our inability, our unlearning to love. So we come down here. As a ranger, we cast off of Wisdom. 19 to save, plus 11 to hit. We already have our spells here, and so one of the last things to look at is our spells known. Oh, snap. Captain Milne. Oh, Cap. Welcome, Cap and crew. Thank you very much for the raid. Cap, I'm going to give you a thick dilly-dilly. And a howdy cheer from me. At level 2, we know 2 spells. At level 3, we know 3. But then we don't get a 4th until 5. However, you can see that we can take a level 2 spell if we decide to. So this is 19. This is 17. This is 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, and 3. Now this is what your spells would look like if you took them at the maximum that you could that you can. As a fixed list spellcaster, when you level up, you can always swap out a spell that you're not using for another one that you can cast in any of your spell slots. So you can, if you get a spell that level, put it in anywhere that you can cast, and you can also replace a spell at the same time. If you just write out what you get when you can get it, this is what, up here, this is what it would look like. Now, I'm not going to sit down and go through all her spells. That would be more of a campaign-specific thing, but ta-da! And if you want to give her a companion, then there you go, everyone. You can give her a companion, why not? She likes animals. Why wouldn't you want to give her a pet? She's not a Beastmaster Ranger, but it doesn't mean that she can't have, like, a dog that follows her around. Yeah, 5th edition. We're a D&D workshop, Timberwolf. An evil bat that goes squeak? Well, maybe. I could see her having a bat. That's the thickest dilly I've seen in a hot minute, says Captain Milne. We only serve the hottest, freshest, thickest dilly-dillies around these here parts. Can I go back to the spell list? On the character sheet? This? So yeah, hey everyone, ta-da! We built a character. We explored Unearthed Arcana's Feywild, not Feywild, but Fey Wanderer Ranger. We looked at the mechanics and we built a compelling character that you could pilot very easily. You understand her motivations, you understand her history. Nothing about her is super, nothing about her is I accidentally highlighted. My goodness. Stop. Nothing is necessarily broken. She makes sense. She's a product of her environment. Especially this really cool adventuring environment that grew up around her. It's a beautiful process, everyone. And I appreciate your all's input in making this character come to life. And she needs a name, actually. If any of you has a suggestion, it could be her halfling name. It could be what the Fae have called her after they, raised her and trained her. It could be a name she chose for herself. Did she name herself after, after an animal? Does she call herself, Tiny Bat or Squeakers? Does she call herself the Timberwolf? Because she does stalk through the forest. What would be the inspiration here? If she was in a military unit, does she call herself... Wait, I was saying to Captain. Does she call herself Cap? So these are all fun little details, but we have the core of the character that we built, and I love it. So good.